You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
Todd Blanche in bind after judge muzzles him just days before Senate hearing, based on an article by David Edwards. The president's lawyer is being asked to explain the bribe he helped build, a deal built for one family. Todd Blanche arrives at his Senate confirmation hearing under the shadow of a federal ruling that says the IRS settlement he engineered had no viable basis in law or fact. The source story gives the basic facts: a $1.776 billion arrangement, a permanent shield from IRS audits for Trump, his family, and his businesses, and a judge who found the lawsuit behind it was filed for an improper purpose. That is the context. The larger truth is simple: this was not a technical tax dispute. It was a power transaction dressed up as legal process. Power was not hidden, it was exercised. The institutional power here sits exactly where it usually does in this kind of corruption, at the top, in the presidency, and the Justice Department apparatus that serves it. Blanche did not stumble into a bad outcome, he engineered it, according to the reporting. Trump then rewarded the operation by nominating Blanche to permanently lead the Justice Department 16 days after the settlement was announced. That is not drift, that is patronage. The system is doing what it was designed to do when captured by loyalists: convert state machinery into personal insulation. Misdirection for the conveniently credulous. Blanche has insisted the audit shield was not immunity and purely retrospective. That phrasing is the usual swamp gas of elite evasion and technical language used to launder a plainly political result. If a deal permanently blocks audits for Trump's family and businesses, the public is not supposed to pretend it is some neutral administrative housekeeping. The judge did not buy it, and neither should anyone with functioning political judgment. The most revealing line in the ruling is not just that the arrangement lacked a legal basis. It is that Blanche's own testimony was found to be at best misleading and, at worst, disingenuous. That is the institutional language for what the public already knows. The point was not clarity, but cover. The Senate is reacting to a crisis it helped build. Republican senators are suddenly demanding answers about the audit immunity provision. Bill Cassidy says no one should be above the law, not even the president, as if this were a fresh moral insight, rather than a belated response to an obvious abuse. John Cornyn says he is not ready to vote for or against Blanche until he gets clarity. Lisa Murkowski says she does not like it and wants more information. This is the Senate in miniature outrage, delayed until the paper trail gets too loud, then procedural concern presented as courage. The institution is not confronting the abuse so much as managing its exposure to it. The ruling exposed the usual escape routes. Judge Kathleen Williams did more than void the settlement. She also barred the parties from using or citing it in any official proceeding, which creates an awkward problem for Blanche at his own confirmation hearing. If the Justice Department appeals, it may have to defend the settlement's legitimacy and contradict Blanche's claim that the fund is dead. In other words, the lie now has to either speak for itself or collapse under its own procedural weight. That is the pattern. With authoritarian adjacent legal warfare, create a shell gain, then rely on courts, agencies, and legislative timidity to absorb the cost of untangling it. What this story actually shows: this is not a story about one lawyer making a questionable call. It is a story about the transformation of law into a loyalty instrument. Trump used a tax dispute and a leak of his returns as the pretext. Blanche helped build the settlement. The Justice Department now has to decide whether to defend a deal the court has already called baseless, and Senate Republicans are left pretending their concern arrived on time. The larger political pattern is the same one running through Trump's current operation: private benefit, public authority, and a constant effort to turn abuse into process. The scandal is not confusion. The scandal is the machinery working exactly as captured power wants it to work. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Ross Dory for today's article. With the automated voice of Norman, thanks for listening.